O ye powers that be, in all of thy names and all of thy forms, most beloved Ishtadevata, all of ye beings, the air, the earth, the fire, the water, the ether, ancestors of our bloodlines, ancestors of our spiritual lines, ancestors of our adopted lines, O ye powers that be, Namaste. We call upon thee to sweep clear the path as we are here today. May we hear that which needs to be heard. May we see that which needs to be seen. May we become aware of that which needs to rise in our consciousness for the higher and better good, for the good of each soul in this sangha and the good of all souls. Om Gum Om Gum Om Gum Om Aim Om Aim Om Aim. Om Shri Ravi Vanamaha, Om Shri Surya Vanamaha, Om Shri Surya Vanamaha, Om Shri Surya Vanamaha, Om Shri Surya 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 Vanamaha. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Namaste. There was a village, and there were two men living next door to each other. They had grown up together. They got married at the same time. One was the man filled with promises, promises. He married his wife, beautiful, beautiful woman. Someday you're going to have the biggest house in town. Someday. Every day he would say, someday I'm going to give you the biggest house in town. I wish you'd fix a better dinner for me. Someday I'm going to give you the biggest house in town. I don't like the way the house is being kept. Someday I'm going to give you the biggest house in town. He finished work at night and he went out with his friends. Had a little this and a little of that. Always came home. Every night his wife would say, I missed you. I'm lonely for you. We don't spend time together. I'm working. Someday I'm going to give you the biggest house in town. He looked next door and started making fun of his neighbor. Look at him. He never goes out. He's a wuss. He comes home all the time. The fellow next door, he'd come home every night and see his beloved wife, and he'd say, I'm so happy to see you. I'm so happy to be with you. I was thinking of you today and thinking how fortunate I am to have you for my beloved wife. Now I found a place I could go study. And so one night a week, I'm going to go study and apprentice to this fellow so I can learn to help build a better house for us. but thank you for everything you do during the day. He would come home one day a week, take a penny, come home with a flower, just one, and say, my dear, I saw this today and it reminded me of you. Here, I thought you might like this. He'd go off to work, same time as the fellow next door. He'd be singing and he'd be happy. The other fellow was kind of hungover and grumpy and said, I don't know what you're so happy about. Oh, I have a lovely wife. I'm very happy. I'm happy with the life we have together. And every day he would feed that. Every day, each week he learned a new skill from the carpenter. He learned how to hammer, he learned how to saw, he learned how to measure things properly. He learned the order of building. He worked very, very hard. But he made a point every day before he walked into his house to stop. He might have been tired, he might have been sad, he might have been grumpy, but he stopped. Now, what wonderful thing could he say to his wife? What good thing could he say to his wife today? And as he gathered himself in his quiet meditative moment, some beauty would come to his mind. And when he walked in the house, day after day after day, he would say something loving and kind and giving. Now, not to say they didn't have their ups and downs. All couples do. But every day he fed. He fed. He fed his marriage. He fed his wife with his kindness and his love without stopping. He was tired. He still fed it with love. He was grumpy. He still fed it with love. But the fellow next door fed it with promises. I promise I'll buy you. I promise I'll give you the biggest house in town. But he took no action. It's all talk, all air, all talk. The years went by, the years went by, the years went by. And the fella that promised the big house, well, he'd been tippling every night. So the big house didn't come. He'd been saying cruel things to his wife, so the happiness didn't come. The man who took the little steps, their house was filled with happiness. Perhaps they had a child, perhaps they did not. Their house was filled with happiness. They grew in love because as he fed, she was fed and she fed him. There was food waiting for him when he came home. The house was clean. And she in turn would say, I appreciate you so much. Thank you. Thank you for all the work you've done. Every time you got up in the morning to go to work, to bring home the soybean bacon so that we might live in peace and harmony. Thank you. They knew the magic secret. What was the magic secret? The magic secret was that they knew time. They knew that they had to act. He knew that he had to feed that which he wished to grow. He had to feed it every single day, saying over and over and over and over again, I want to do something, and not taking any action other than the mouth brought forth nothing. Well, it's not true. It brought forth something. Discontent, disappointment, anger, sadness, loneliness on the part of his beloved wife, who all she wanted was one time that he would say, I love you. One time that he might think to bring her a flower, or take her to a play, or show her a pretty picture, or listen to some music with her, or take her to dance, or stop in the kitchen and hold her hand and kiss it and say, ah, I love you. Now, I could say, what kind of person are you? But that wouldn't be fair. For we all have within us, day by day, year by year, month by month, hour by hour, minute by minute, both of these states of consciousness, both of these souls within us, which takes the greater precedence. What are you feeding? We are coming up upon the summer solstice, the longest day of the year if you're in the northern hemisphere, the shortest if you're in the southern. But in the northern hemisphere, this is a time that we plant. We have prepared the fields for planting, and we've already started some of the early planting. But this is the season to rejoice. It's the season to say, ah, the sun is here. The sun. The sun is here. The life-giving energy is here at your sun center, just as it is there. You are a microcosm of the universe. You are a microcosm of this macrocosm. And part of the practice of Kriya is to be able to cosmolize your being, to be able to say, to be able to say, oh, I see, I am a microcosm of that. And as a microcosm of that, I need to make changes within this. I need to harmonize with that. If it's Sunday, I need to know that it's Sunday. Om Shri Surya Namaha. If it's Monday, I need to know it's Monday. Om Shri Chandraji Namaha. The sun and the moon. So what is this day? What is this sacred time? 4:13 a.m. Central Standard Time on Tuesday morning, the 21st. 5:14 a.m. Eastern Time on the Tuesday morning, the 21st. It is the solstice. It is a time for us to say, I want to plant. And what is it that I want to plant? Now, if I want to learn Sanskrit, or I want to learn French or Japanese or Hindi, or you want to, take after my guru. He has, many of which I have now, books and books and books of languages, but they didn't sit on his bookshelf. He had I was going to say a trick, but a habit, if you will, of taking small little pieces of paper, little cards, or always little cards, and he'd write on each one a word of whatever language he was going to study. One side would be the word in Japanese or Spanish or French, and the other side would be in English. And he carried them with him. So if it was the time to study Japanese because he was going to Japan, he would pick it out. And during the day, just a moment, he would pick it out and learn the word and flip it over. Learn the word, flip it over. Learn the word, flip it over. If you want to speak Japanese, you have to practice it every day. If you want to be a writer, you have to practice it every day. If you want to be a beloved, loving spouse, a loving mother, a loving father, a loving friend, a loving sibling, a loving member of the community, a loving friend. You must practice it every day. You must practice to develop the skills. You see, in Kriya, we say the skills, it's not the big things. There are very few big moments in life. Life is filled with a million small, small moments. And it's the choices you make in the small moments that matter. It's what you do in the small moments that matter. It's letting go of the idea that I'm going to build you a big house and say, well, maybe first I better learn to pick up the hammer. Maybe first I better learn the foundation and lay the foundation. And then the house can come, one brick at a time, one step at a time. It's a story of the person who says, I want to be a pianist, I want to be a musician, but they never pick up an instrument. Or they play all kinds of instruments. I know my beloved husband wanted to play piano, and his parents couldn't afford piano. So he learned clarinet, he learned guitar, but he always wanted to play piano. And when we got married, he longed for piano. And I finally said one year, you've been saying this for an awfully long time. Why don't you play piano? And that led to a year of, I'm too old. And I said, finally, if you don't learn it now, you're still going to be, whatever age it is, or you're, if you're too old now, you're still going to be too old then. Why don't you try? And that year, I got him a piano as a birthday gift. Took a while to save those pennies up. But you know what? That was 30 years ago. And you wouldn't believe how beautifully he plays the piano. He practices more now that he's not in the business world than he did before. But it's beautiful. And he's playing complex, beautiful music. But what was the obstacle? And he will tell you himself, the obstacle is he thought he couldn't do it. He thought it was too late to do it. And that was a long, long, long time ago, that he thought it was too late. Now, if he had let that thought sit in his head and block his actions, he wouldn't be playing the beautiful piano today. Now, it's the solstice. It's celebrated all over the world. It must be an important time. You go to the Great Hall in Pottawa. The Great Hall in Pottawa has all the astrological symbols at the very top of the hall, painted. Hall that was built in the 1800s, 1700s. And at the top, halfway through, at the sign of Cancer, is a hole, a big hole in the wall. And at the solstice, the sun comes right in the center, right at the solstice. It comes in that hall. You go to Egypt, you stand in front of the Sphinx, and at the solstice, the sun comes up over the Sphinx between the pyramids. Everybody knows you go to Stonehenge, and the sun arises at the solstice between the columns at Stonehenge. And the same is found in Cambodia, in Vietnam, it's found in Turkey, all over the world. Buildings are built, certainly many places in Central and South America. Buildings are built so that the sun may be seen when it comes at the summer solstice. Wow, it must be an important time. It's a time to turn inward and to turn inside, ascend upward and say, oh, now what do I want to plant? What's going to bring me joy? What's going to bring me wisdom? What's going to bring me a fuller, happier, more joy-filled life? What can I plant now? So perhaps the answer is, as we find it in Kriya, is to first recognize that if you want something, do something about it now. Period. It's the story of the man who came to Pranananda and wanted a mantra to become wealthy, wanted a mantra for wealth. Pranananda said, well, what does it mean to you to be wealthy? What does it mean to you to be rich? The man said rich. He didn't say wealthy, he said rich. Oh, I don't know. How much money do you have to be rich? I'm not sure. Have you ever met any rich people? No. Have you ever studied anything about money? No. All right, well, let's try this again. How much money do you think you have to be rich? $100. $100, the fellow says. I'm not lying. And Pranananda says, well, I'll be happy to give you the mantra, but it's a lot easier to get that $100 if you gain some skills. What do you know about earning money? How would you possibly bring that money into your life? Have you thought about getting a job? Have you thought about getting some more education that would help you to get that $100? Have you looked around you and said, who else has $100? Maybe I should ask them how they got theirs. The fellow says, no. Excuse me. Give me the mantra. Give me the mantra. Give me the mantra. Pranananda gave him the mantra. There is a mantra, by the way, for that. There are a number of mantras for that. But, do you know how hard it is to manifest something with mantra if that's all you're doing? If you're sitting and just chanting and chanting and chanting and doing no thing to do anything else. That's not how it's done. Now, if the man had come and said, here's all these books I've read, this is what I'm really striving for, would the mantra help me? Well, what the mantra will do is eliminate the obstacles for you. It's not going to draw it. It eliminates the obstacles to life flowing with its benefits and its blessings to you. So, for the third time, it's the summer solstice. What are you going to feed? Can you feed kindness to your family? Can you feed kindness to your spouse? Can your spouse feed kindness to you? Can you feed kindness to others? Can you bring beauty into others' lives? Really, truly, it is the small kindnesses that we do, the small acts that we do that make all the difference in the world. They will make all the difference in your life. When I first started studying Kriya, I had this idea that mysticism was, all these great magical formulas, these great techniques that you were going to get, that were going to really make a difference. All these secret hidden techniques. And somewhere along the line, after practicing and receiving many techniques, I had a satori one day and I thought, wow, it's all so small. It's all so little. It's letting go of the anger, letting go of the greed, letting go of the fear. It's bowing to life. It's turning and becoming one with life. It's cosmolizing my being. It's realizing that Monday is the moon, Tuesday is Mars, Wednesday is Mercury, Thursday is Jupiter, Friday is Venus, Saturday is Saturn, Sunday is the sun. And every one of those days has actions and colors and meditations and visualizations and acts of kindness associated with them. And mantra and yantra and mudras, hand gestures, you know. But in some sense, the mystic says it matters not if you know all of those other things. It matters, Monday. Well, even the French, have the nursery rhyme related to the days of the week. The key is not the big things. The key is all that you do to develop the skills to live your everyday life more beautifully, more peacefully, more harmoniously, more aligned with the macrocosm. And if the macrocosm that you see is chaotic, then still and clear and clean and plant peace, plant wisdom, plant joy, plant laughter in the sunlight of your garden, so that that is what flourishes for you. Plant respect for those you love. And in some sense, in this planting, let go. Let go, let go, let go, let go, let go. Like letting the balloon fly into the sky. Let go of the self-criticism. Let go of the need for the approval of all of the others. And plant and fill the garden with goodness. Now, it's a funny thing. At the solstice every year, we celebrate fathers. We celebrate the universal father, the cultural father, the individual father of the family. And the father, all of the universal symbols of the father are symbols of power. The father represents the sun, and the sun is power, unfettered. The sun is power. The sun rises in the morning, goes across the sky, goes at night, goes through the cycle around, comes again in the morning, again and again and again and again. The sun rises and it comes to its zenith and it falls. Unlike the moon, which fluctuates, the moon grows and declines. It moves, it waxes and it wanes, it waxes and it wanes. The sun is consistent. It's there. Whether you see it or not because of clouds or whatever, it's there. You go out in the sun and it will shine on you when you are in its presence. In one sense, the cultural symbol says the sun has no mercy. The sun is needed for everything on the earth to flourish. But in one sense, if you stand there in the sun, you're going to get sunburnt. You will be burnt by the sun. Unless you harmonize yourself and make yourself capable of being with the sun. Now, in yogic terms, there's one thing we say, and that is that we need to be able to, this body, this has to be prepared, has to be ready, has to be um, prepared and ready to feel the full light of this inner sun, to be present in the full light of this inner sun. And so we are reminded this time of year, all right, I need to make sure that as I'm planting all these good things, that I have done what I need to do to stand in the light of the sun. Eat right, drink right, etc. How does it get us to the Father? The Father is the power symbol. Many, many, many of the myths of the cultures have the Father as being the authority figure. And unfortunately, many myths show the Father as being the punisher, acting very punishing, I guess would say, rather than loving and caring, which is often given the role of the mother. Now, this is not accurate. The Father and the Mother are the same within us. We each have the feminine, we each have the masculine within us. But there is something to be acknowledged about the role of the Father and the role of the masculine. And please know that I'm not talking about, when I say masculine, in yogic terms, you're not talking about people embodied in men's bodies or in women's bodies. They're each soul. We each have a masculine and a feminine side. If you're in a man's body, the masculine tends to be stronger, tends to be more dominant. But it is worth thinking about. When a child misbehaves, mama may say, wait till your father comes home. Poor dad. Right? Today, around the world, in many cultures, both men and women are working outside of the home. But there are still many, many, many cultures where it is the father who is responsible for going out to bring home the soybean bacon, and the mother is responsible for making the home at home. It matters not. The key here is to recognize that the Father is the symbol of power. The sun is the symbol of power. The sun, the solar sun, is the symbol of power. But, and this is vital. This is absolutely vital. It just shines on whoever's in its light. It is not discriminate. The sun is not discriminate about where it shines. If you're in its path, it's going to shine on you. What we use the moon for, the feminine force, is to say to the sun, shine a little light here, shine a little light here. Let the light shine here. And the sun will be moved to do so. What am I trying to say to you today? I'm trying to say that if you are living with just solar energy, bring a little lunar energy there. If you're living with just lunar energy, bring a little solar energy. Bring it together. The sun and the moon, the logic and the intuition need to be brought together. For this is the moment that you can make your decisions, your choices, your planting for what you are going to bring to fruition, not only in this summer, if you're in the northern hemisphere, or this winter, if you're in the southern, but really for the rest of your life. Go back to the story of the man who told his wife every day, you're beautiful, I love you, I'm glad to be with you, I'm so glad we're sharing our life together. Oh, this is a tough time, but I'd sure rather walk through it with you than with anybody else. We need to learn, one needs to learn the small things. Fourth time I've said it, the small things count. All the Kriya practices are small things. Whatever you want to manifest in your life, you can and you will. Just takes effort. It's the right time, the right way. You will. And you may say, well, it's too late for this lifetime, but I'll tell you, that's fine. Start it anyway. If you want to be fluent in Japanese, start now. And you'll be fluent. You'll pick it up the next lifetime. There are ways that you can make a difference now. All the practices will make a difference at this moment, and then they will grow. And they will grow, and they will grow, and they will grow. So what seeds are you going to plant? What seeds are you going to plant for your life? If you find yourself with grandiose dreams of something that you want to do, break those dreams down into steps. What could you do today to bring that dream to fruition? You know, what could you learn today that's going to help you to bring that dream to fruition? What could you learn? What could you do? And begin to do it. It is not, I would say sometimes it feels as if it's not very kind that fathers are given many of the great burdens in life, and not as many of the accolades. If you're a father in this life, stop for a minute today and think of all of the little things you've done and all the big things. You know, if you're a mother and you're also taking the role of a father, think about everything you've done. And if you're neither of those, stop and think about the person who gave birth to you, the person who raised you, and all that they did for you. And did they goof? Did they make a mistake? Oh, maybe, maybe they did something that wasn't perfect. Probably, yeah. Okay. They were human. So were you. Let it go. And stop and appreciate and be joy-filled. And so before we go into our meditation, I'm going to say again and again and again and again, it is the little actions. Your whole life, your everyday life is your spiritual life. It is the grounds for your spiritual life. There is no difference. There's not a work life. You may have a work life. You may have a work life and home life. You may have your work circle, your friendship circle at home, your family circle. But I'll tell you, there's only one spiritual life. One, not two, one. And that is your entire life. From the moment you go to sleep, entering the dream state, until you wake up again on this side. That is your spiritual life. Everything you do, every choice you make, every kindness you give, every time you quiet the chaos and chokos of the mind, you're making a spiritual choice. You're making a choice. That is your spiritual life. Every time you see, oh, that was an ugly thought that rose in my mind, I need to let it go. I need to turn it. I need to transform it. In the Kriya way, we say, oh, I'm transforming that into something more beautiful, more harmonious, more sattvic. Your mind wants to criticize your neighbor. You see somebody walking on the street, you don't like the way that they look. Neti, 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 neti. I'm not that thought. I'm not that thought thinking that thought. I'm not thought. Forgive me for having had that thought. And go on. Every time you speak to somebody and you hear that your voice is a little harsh or tense or irritated, stop. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to rush. You were saying? And sit. That is your spiritual life, my beloved. All of it. All of it. All of it. All of it. You have an enormous opportunity here on the earth plane. Find joy in it. And let us go to our meditation and see what we can do. Lift, lift, lift. Let go of the heavy karmas of the past and find the fruitfulness to plant what we wish for this summer. Namaste. Focus your attention at the sun center. Turn your head to the left with a double exhalation. Bring your head back to the center. Now begin to watch your breath. Hold the energy from the limbs to the trunk using the sipping breath. Inhaling as if through a straw. From the trunk to the spinal column. From the base of the spine to the sun center. Move that energy out in front of you, 2.5 feet or so, and sweep it around as golden light, wrapping your body in the light. And do this 3 times. Expand that golden light. And now ascend upward as high as you are able. Until you reach the high place. And find yourself sitting in your meditation place. In your mind's eye, see your mind as a large 3D screen. And bring forth the most beautiful form of life to you at this moment. An object of beauty. Bring forth an object of beauty. Allow that beauty. Bring the object of beauty close to your eyes, to your sun center. See it. Allow that object of beauty to grow. Smell the object of beauty. Touch the object of beauty. Hear the sound of the object of beauty. Taste of the beauty. Bringing that object of beauty close to your sun center. Inhaling, feel the object of beauty directly over your spine. Allow the object of beauty to dissolve down your spinal column as golden dewdrops. Feel the beauty pouring down your spinal column, radiating forth from your spine to the limbs of your body. Radiating this beauty to all life. Now in your mind's eye, see this field of beauty that you have created. This field of beauty that thou art. This field of beauty that you have radiated into life. Thou art that. Om Tat Sat Om. See this, feel it, sup upon it. Now in this field, allow images to come forth of that which you wish to plant. What is most precious to you? One thing most precious that you wish to plant. Allow yourself to see that which is most precious being planted in the field of beauty. And in your mind's eye, see the one simple thing to be done today. To plant in your field of beauty. And remember, everything begins with your consciousness. Everything begins with the pre-thought coming from the causal plane, with the thought form entering into the astral plane. Solidify what you wish to plant, coming back to the field of beauty, nurturing it, feeding it, vivifying it, and knowing the right Kriya, the right action to take in addition to that which you are doing internally. It all begins internally. Om Gam Om Gam Om Gam Om Shri Surya Namaha Om Shri Surya Namaha Om Shri Surya Namaha. Be thou blessed. Remember to water that which you have planted. Water it with your dreams. Water it with your affirmations. Water it with your thoughts, your meditations, your intentions. May your life be filled with contentment. May your life be filled with deep, abiding contentment. May your life be filled with joy and ananda, ananda, ananda. And when you are ready, return your attention to the earth plane, remembering again and again and again. Go to the field of beauty where you have planted. Water your plantings with your intention. Water your plantings with your attention. Water your plantings with your action, your sacred, wise, Kriya action. Letting go of all those things that do not support what you are trying to bring in your life, and filling with that which you need to manifest your dreams. The lineage and I in the lineage, the powers that be, pour forth their blessings upon thee at this moment. May your path be swept clear. May you find that which you seek. And may you remember always that you are a part of life. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Dhyanamulam Guru Murti, Pujamulam Guru Padam, Mantramulam Guru Vakyam, Mokshamulam Guru Kripa, Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwara, Guru Sachat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Dhyanamulam Guru Murti, Pujamulam Guru Padam, Mantramulam Guru Vakyam, Mokshamulam Guru Kripa, Mokshamulam Guru Kripa, Mokshamulam Guru Kripa. Om Gum Gurubhyo Namaha. Om Gum Gurubhyo Namaha. Om Gum Gurubhyo Namaha. Namaste. Namaskar. Thank you for your blessings, for the blessings of your presence. It is always a joy to share this time with you. Namaste. Namaste. Have a good rest of your day. Shanti. And yes, if you're asking, this was just for you.